Hi, Lala here. I thought I'd come up with the perfect no-tape mouth taping solution for people like me who had issues with the tape and for people who had facial hair. Oh, and I was really pleased to find how helpful it was for CPAP users. But it turned out there was more work to be done. I read every comment and was determined to find solutions for the two concerns that you had that were keeping this from being perfect. Some fearing the possibility of choking, and some experiencing excessive saliva. After several months of trial and error, I'm excited to tell you I found solutions for both. Let's go perfect this thing and make a safety strap. Here it is. And in case you can't see that, here's another option. Just as I had mentioned in part 1, this is not for children. I'm not giving you any medical advice. I'm not a doctor of any kind. I'm simply sharing a solution that I came up with for myself that had a huge impact on my ability to get a great night's sleep. We're going to pick up where we left off in part 1 with our trimmed mouthpiece. We used a teal color one last time since the clear didn't show up very well, but you'll need to see a lot more detail this time. So I'm working with this giant yellow one. Your choice of silicone bag is very important. So I'm going to remind you several times through the video which can and can't be used for each of the two safety strap attachment methods. Before purchasing your bag, be sure to check the description for the most updated silicone bag options and details of each. The best choices may change as I continue to test mouthpieces. But for now, let's get to what you need to make your safety strap. All three of these brands of bags will work with the tiny hole punch method I'll be showing you first. Okay, this is the most important part of the safety strap. It's the part that's going to be in your mouth, so it has to be something like this elastic dental thread. Orthodontists use this to tie things to braces, so you know it can be in your mouth for a long time. Certainly as long as your mouthpiece is going to last. And here's what not to use. This stretch cord explicitly says, do not put this in your mouth. And neither of these kinds of monofilament line are acceptable either. I'm talking to you, Mark. He was trying to guess what I was going to use. In fact, don't even use them for testing, so you won't risk mistaking them for the correct thread. However, this flat dental floss would be good for testing, especially if you just wanted to try a mouthpiece for a night before ordering the dental thread. You'll also need some kind of clip to attach to your clothing. This one's for pinning fabrics together, and this one really is a binky strap. This is the 1 mil hole punch you need. I'll have a link to this exact one in the description. See how tiny the 1 millimeter hole is compared to a standard 1/4 inch punch? Here's method number 1, the tiny hole punch method. This first method I'm going to show you with the 1 mil tiny hole punch will work with all three bags. I find the 0.03 dental thread works best with the 1 mil hole. And with holes in either of these spots, you shouldn't have any problem with excessive saliva. That's how I'll be making this first one, and I'll be using a stretch clip. The part that's going to connect to your mouthpiece is the dental thread. And the knot I use for this one is called a surgeon's loop. There's a lot of other knots you could use if you don't like either of the ones I'm going to show you. Just search for knots that won't come untied. With the 1 mil hole punch, you need to use the 0.03 thread. Otherwise, the hole will be too big. So this red yarn is my 0.03 dental thread. Starting from the front of the mouthpiece, go through one hole with your thread and pull it back out the other. The back, which is against your teeth, will look like this. Keeping the lines side by side, make a loop. Now, pass the two strands through the back side of the loop once and pull it through, and then a second time. And pull that all the way through. Now pull both ends to partway tighten down the knot. With the dental thread, you'll need to wet it before you tighten it down really snug. There's your first knot. Now you're going to do the same thing on the other side to make a little loop for that stretch cord to attach to. With our threads side by side, make a loop and pass it through the back twice. And then tighten it down. Now just cut off those loose tag ends and you're ready to attach your stretch clip. I got these clip straps on Amazon in a pack of 6. There was a gold one too, but I gave that one away already. Even though I didn't feel like I needed 6, the 6-pack was a really good deal. And I like the option of having colors to be able to tell my favorite ones apart and to have some to give away. Please do not skip over this part. It is super important. The only bag I found so far that is safe to do this next mouthpiece with is the Honest Goods brand. Even though I love the Porter brand, it will not work for this. It may look and feel the same as the Honest Good brand. The Porter brand cannot stand up to the needle and thread method I'm about to show you. I mean, seriously, look how hard I'm pulling on this. You'll never have to pull on it this hard. You may be shocked to hear that this is the brand I'm recommending. This is the Honest Goods mouthpiece. Let me explain what happened here. This is what made me realize my solution was going to work. So obviously I sleep with my binky. I should probably call it my mouthpiece when I'm talking to you. I sleep with it every night, and sometimes I have trouble waking up in the morning because I'm sleeping so well. So if I wake up a little bit, I have to pull it out right away or I'll just be back to sleep. So I go back to get it and wash it like I do every morning, and it's gone. I go walking out of my room, and there's my dog chewing on something. And I realize what he's got, and I'm yelling, "That dingo's got my binky!" Anyway, I grab it away from him, and he's chewed a bunch of holes in it, and for some reason, I thought it would be a good idea to keep it. I don't know why, but it turned out it was a good idea. And sure enough, months later, as I'm thinking, how am I going to make this work with a safety strap? Can I put holes in it? Of course I can. This has a whole bunch of holes in it, and it still works. So if I make tiny holes, it should still work, and it did. But they look like little slits until you pull on it. But it didn't tear anymore. It just stayed right where he had bit the holes in it. So you can't breathe through it, but it's letting just a little bit of air in so that you don't have so much of that saliva problem, if you have the saliva problem. But having a few little holes has made all the difference. And I'm really hoping it makes a difference for people that commented and said it was great, except they had, I'm trying to think of the words. Some people said excessive saliva, but somebody said something pretty funny. So my dog wrecking my mouthpiece is actually the thing that helped me figure out I could put holes in it and still have it work for a safety strap and to keep from having excessive saliva. And here's attachment number 2, the needle method. It's simple, and I like simple. So I like the single line with a simple little clip. These clips came in a tin of 100. I use them for everything, and they were super cheap. For this version, you need the 0.25 dental thread. This was the perfect set of needles for the job. As with everything else, the link will be in the description. Of course, your trimmed mouthpiece, a pair of tweezers, and a utility knife with a fresh blade. Before we get started, I wanted to mention I cut my mouthpieces out differently from how I showed you in the prior video. I'm pretty diligent about not wasting resources, money, or even time for that matter. And having made so many of these, I've gotten better at getting the most mouthpieces possible out of each bag. With this needle method, I'm going to jump between showing you how to do this making a real mouthpiece and making an oversized one with embroidery thread. Because using embroidery thread doesn't really show you all the actual steps you need to take working with the dental thread. I hope this doesn't end up looking confusing because it's actually really simple. If it's not clear enough, comment with any questions you have and maybe let me know if you think doing a Q&A video would be helpful. Take a minute and decide where you think you'll be most comfortable having your knot. It really is so small, you may not notice it no matter where you put it. If you can easily thread the needle with your dental thread, then your needle is too big. Thin down the tip, and then cut a sharp little edge so you have a point. And even after you've done that, it still shouldn't be easy to thread. This .025 stuff is really thin and hard to see, so it could be helpful to use a pair of tweezers. And finally, success. I'm jumping back to the oversized one now with embroidery thread, so you'll be able to see better. The embroidery thread is our .025 dental thread. With your needle, come from the back of the mouthpiece, out the front, move over just a little bit, and go from the front to the back. Working from the back side of the mouthpiece, for the needle method, I like to use a bowline knot because it's really small. You should have a short end and a long end. Take the long end and loop it on top of itself. Then take the lower part of the thread and push it through from the back side to make a little U shape. Now hold on to that little U shape and let's pull this shorter end out so we have less thread in the way. Then take the short end and go from right to left through that little U and bring it back over to the right side. Now pull that right side all the way over until it's where you want your knot to be, and then pull both ends. At this point, wet your knot so you'll be able to snug it down smoothly. Once your knot is really tight, cut that little short tail end off close to the knot. Now take the long end and thread it back through your needle. Pull the knot over to one side so you can see where you came through with the needle, and then you're going to try and pass through the exact same spot, going from the back side and pulling it out the front. And now we're going to attach the clip. I'm going to show you the simple clip this time. Give yourself enough room to do another surgeon's loop, make a loop, and go through the back side twice. And just tighten it down. And then cut off the tag end. As for cleaning, I wash this every morning in really hot water and dish soap. As I'm washing it, I'm inspecting it for any changes, feeling for any tears, and checking the knots. I've never actually had one show any damage. Well, except for the one my dog stole. Then I dry it with a paper towel and keep it in one of these ventilated mouthguard cases. Then once a week, I let it sit in boiling water, like a little tea bag, to sterilize it. If you happen to be somebody who has more trouble with sleeping other than just mouth breathing, so did I. Just a little heads up, I'm going to be doing a video on the 3 things I did that took me from being an insomniac to a super sleeper. Thank you so much for those of you who are supporting my channel. It means so much to me. I'm a small channel. I don't have sponsored videos. I'm not the kind of channel who's testing products that I can spit something out every week. And it takes me a long time to be comfortable enough to share something with you, especially something like this. This is more than 2 years in the making. So you can see the other videos and see all the progress that I made along the way. And hopefully this is it. Unless you guys have more suggestions, put them in the comments. It makes all the difference. It's what helps me get to the next step. Again, thanks so much to all of you who are supporting my channel. Sleep well, friends.